I'll call this meeting to order. It is Wednesday, February 26, 2025, and it's 10 o'clock a.m., and we are here to get an update from the ambulance district. And I will turn it over to Bruce, or...
Well, I guess we'll just start from January 1. How's that?
Okay.
We went in, there's been questions raised about ambulances, so we'll go into that right off the bat.
Okay.
The board ordered 2, John, jump in if I'm wrong, 2 F-550 Ford ambulances from Horton. That's going on 18 to 20 months ago.
Yeah, the first, yep.
We had grant money for both of those, plus the East Shoshone Hospital money that was given to. They were actually ordered a couple months before you guys came into office.
Yes.
So we are still waiting for those. So we have money in the bank in separate funds just for that. Talked to Carrie, she's got all that.
Okay.
Her and Timmy took care of it.
Okay.
So those ambulances are basically paid for. We're just waiting for them.
Have you had any update on whether?
We were told August at the earliest.
Okay.
So if it goes till October, it'll be 2 full years since we've ordered them.
Yeah, I remember they keep kind of pushing them out. It was June last year, and then it was.
Yeah, there was some miscommunication on some of it between the reps and Chief Dietrich, and honest mistake across the board.
So those ambulances are just waiting. Right now, as of last week, we had the ambulance board meeting. We have 6 ambulances, knock on wood, keep your fingers crossed, all running. 4 of those ambulances are over 100,000 miles already. The second newest ambulance, which would have been 2 years old in January, just turned 70,000. We got one last fall. We just put into service in October.
Was that the Braun?
Yes.
Okay. How do you guys like the Braun?
That's what we went to with the next 2.
Okay. Okay.
Chief Dietrich visited both places, and just Kootenai County EMS had gone to all Hortons, and they visited places too, and just were not very maybe satisfied with what they saw, or how they were walked around at the Horton agency. So now they're moving to Braun.
Okay.
Chief Dietrich did the same, and was
now
very impressed with Braun.
Wasn't that Braun was the one that was made all out of aluminum, and the other ones Horton was wood, and okay, so to be a little lighter.
A little lighter and definitely cheaper.
Okay.
And the Hortons are definitely, of course, the Horton that we got is a bigger one. It's a 550. It's Melissa saw it, and it's probably another half as big as the Braun.
Yeah.
The older ones, but the older ones are on a smaller truck. So, leading up to that December meeting, we discussed, November and December, we discussed the ambulance situation. At that time, we were getting hammered pretty good with calls. Ski hills were just starting. The freeways were getting slick. We had one blow motor. Things happened. So the board started discussing another ambulance. So we went in and had Chief Dietrich go in and get 3 different bids on what it would cost for 3 different ambulances. Braun, Horton, and I don't remember the EMR or ENR or something like that was the other one. He's got all the paperwork. And discussion went in that December meeting, we voted to go ahead and order 2 Braun 20% chassis rate hike in December or in January. So it was approved and pushed on to the county board of commissioners.
Okay. So
And the reasoning we did this, we went into a lot of deliberation. Everybody on the board thought it over and worked it between January and December. We figured we could pay cash for these ambulances with the money that we have and the income. We're betting 2 full budget years before they come. So the plan is the 2 Hortons should show up by the next budget year or in that time frame. So that'll put us in decent shape. Then we can turn around 2 more years. We'll hopefully don't have to buy one in between. So that budget year we'll have the budget set for an ambulance set aside in that budget, but it won't be spent. Turn around the next budget year, those should be showing up possibly or close. So that budget year we'll have another ambulance set in the budget in place. So we should not be able, the board's consensus is we should not be straining the budget as far as for operations at all. We should have everything per se banked to pay for these ambulances. And there's always the opt. When we did opt on all 4 of them. If we do not want them, cannot pay for them,
okay.
we do not have to take them.
Okay.
They're in such high demand right now that
They'll be gone in a week or 2.
Okay.
Sold somebody else in a week or 2.
Okay.
That's
So there's
what
an
happened
option. Okay.
With the one we bought last fall, it was a demo.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even off the floor when we grabbed it.
I remember that.
We had the motor blow.
Yep.
So we are going to a 450 Ford, just one step down from the Horton. And we're going to try those out. We're going to see how it goes. And we're trying to keep the 350, 450, and 550. We're trying to keep all the same brand and everything, not because we're all Ford lovers or anything. It's just so parts.
Yep. I understand.
I mean, filters and everything should be the same, etc. And then ambulance-wise, that's all we got.
Okay.
If you got questions, I'd try to answer them about those right now.
Okay.
And another thing about the Ford, and I'm not a Ford, but anyway, is they make their chassis set up, wired, everything for emergency vehicles. And where, you know, you go to Dave Smith's and buy a Dodge, but then somebody has to run all this wiring and who knows how it's done. Ford comes from the factory almost ready to plug in everything.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's one of the reasons we kept looking at Ford.
And that wasn't that, Chief, wasn't that one of the issues with the, was the wiring on the Dodges you guys are having trouble with?
Yeah, we've had
With the-
inverter
yeah,
issues.
inverters, yeah.
Don't quite.
Yeah.
Well, electrical on almost every ambulance we have.
Okay.
Every emergency vehicle is just electrical kind of nightmare for folks.
Okay. Just curious, is there a gas mileage difference between the Horton and because it's so much lighter? Have you guys kind of?
I would imagine so, but I honestly don't know.
That'd be
I
kind of
think-
interesting.
I think the crews, speaking, living in Mullen in the snow all the time, I think the crews like the Horton, traveling to Mullen on the freeway better because it's heavier. It is a little bit longer and heavier,
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to be actually a little bit better traction and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then they turn around and say, God, it's tough to turn that long thing around. It's like turning a 4-door pickup with a 12-foot bed on the back, you know. But we're trying to, that's what we're trying to get it suitable to where the Horton bed was so nice to walk into. It rode good. So hopefully county really well. So we went back to them, and hopefully we can get some life out of these things. But it's gonna be an ongoing,
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
you know, we're gonna go into to next re-election time with everybody, and we're gonna be sitting about the same boat. We're gonna have to order 2 more, basically every
2 years or so.
18 months. We're gonna have to order a couple ambulances just to have, and we hope to scale back that we'll be caught up with the next 2, so we can scale back and go every other year and buy, you know, order one and it'll come in the next fiscal year. So that's the plan. Is the corporation, which I was a part of, we did not do that, and that's what got us behind the ball badly. Not because it was mismanaged, it was we didn't have the money. You know, it was boom or bust. So we have $1 million in October, turn around by December, we're asking the county for more money. Well, this is a better setup where we have it. We're managing it to our best ability, I hope. Our board, the chiefs come in and beg and plead, and I mean, our board's tough. They drill them and ask why we need it.
One of the,
touch a little
okay, go
more
ahead.
deeper into the ambulance situation to a certain degree is with the EMS Corporation, we had maybe 4 ambulances that were all around the same year. It was 2016-ish models. So we could, at that point, we could take, say, each fire department house 2. We can rotate those in and out to really spread out the mileage. But between 2016 and 2022, 2023 is when we got 1. So we haven't been able to really rotate and share that mileage. Currently there's 2 new ones, but those are the ones getting the bulk of the miles, because everything else has got 100, 120, one's got 160. And so we don't really want to rotate one with 20,000 miles with one with 140.
Yeah.
But with this, maybe instead of every 2 years, once we get enough newer ones that are lower in mileage, then we can start, okay, we're going to use this one this month, and next month we're going to switch and use this one to really kind of gain the life out of it. We just haven't had that opportunity in the last few years to be able to even
Yeah,
do that.
I understand that, because, you know, you guys had to go out and borrow an ambulance, you know, and that's
we
what,
rented one.
rented one. We don't want to have to do that, you know, so,
And
you know.
the other good thing that is happening, Scott and John have been working on, one of the ambulances that we will retire will go to East Shoshone or West Shoshone Hospital, Shoshone Medical Center, whatever you want to call it. Their ambulance is just about unfit to be used. They use it to transport to the hospital, or from the hospital to the airport or out to the helipad. So we will put one of our ambulances there. It will still be available for us to use if needed for an extra out or whatever we have, if we have one break. So we will have minimum of 6 ambulances now.
Okay.
And thankfully that all be paid for. We can rotate, like John's saying, rotate them in and out. And what else did we have? We had, I'm sure you've seen it in the bills, questions on was it last month or December? We had a big,
Last month, I think,
so we had like $400,000 spent.
Mm-hmm.
331 or whatever.
So that was an ambulance,
It was, I think I had
and the
Stryker for 2. One was 65,000 and change. The other Stryker was 22,000 and change. I think the 22 was maybe to get the cot and gurney load
Yeah.
system onto the new one.
That was $60,000.
Mm-hmm. And another big bulk was we got black packs from a grant, where we got 2, and I think we ended up paying about half, and they're about $40,000 a piece. But, as a reminder, EMS is deemed by the federal government as non-essential. So there's no federal grants for EMS. It's only state grants and anything else we can find. There's not a whole lot of anything else we can find, minus training equipment, but not actual on an ambulance type equipment.
Oh, really?
It's all done through the state, and that is only once a year. And you do have to kind of pick and choose what you're gonna go for. I know I'll be emailing probably today or tomorrow for a letter of support like we've done in the past, because that is something needed to go into the grant portfolio. So one of those larger chunks was for the monitors that was half paid by the state on a grant. Other than that, I think the biggest bulks probably were the fire departments get reimbursed quarterly, and January is one of those quarterly dates, and that's $110,597 to each department every quarter. It turns out to be about $36,800 a year. I can't speak for District 2, but I can speak at least for District 1 for sure. We use absolutely every penny of that and sometimes more. The fire departments will sometimes eat some money, but that's just strictly due to staffing, to make sure we have sufficient staffing, not only for EMS operations, but when an EMS ambulance is out on a call, that we have fire coverage for our fire district, in which they pay as well for too. So there's many months, there's some months that we'll go over, and there's not many that we do go under. If this was a contract agreed upon, I think moving into next year, we had one fire district at one level, another one at another. It didn't quite make a whole lot of sense why one was higher than the other, so we just made them equal, pay it quarterly, because it was cost, we're just billing cost, and that's when I think it came in last year, but hey, we're trending here, but we're budgeted here. So that will no longer be any kind of issues moving forward. But again, January did have 210 quarterly payments to the fire districts, which is probably why that rate was pretty high, and the next one is in April.
And now another, I got a question. We just went ahead and increased the fees and so forth over the summer. How is that? Are you guys seeing a benefit from that?
I believe so. I'd have to talk to either Chief Dietrich or Timmy a little more.
Okay.
I think at the meeting, Timmy said about $60,000-ish a month in revenue from billing.
Now, more or? More.
I can't recall if she said more or total.
Okay.
And then the other thing that's happening, Scott brought up about the reimbursement from the state.
Oh, that program is titled GEMT. It is something, and again, I don't know a whole lot, but I know enough. I did sit on one of the meetings. And I'll try to, when I send the email, maybe for the endorsement letter for the grant, I can try to provide a link of info to that. But it's something that was federally passed on a federal level, but it's still being delayed to get implemented. And what it is that if we go on an EMS call for, it's Medicaid or Medicare, I'm not sure which one off the top of my head, but one, that there's just a set percent that they're going to pay. So if we take Jim to the hospital, his bill is normally, let's say, $500. There's nothing we can do about it. Medicare or Medicaid will pay 20-30% about it, and there's nothing we can do about it. This GMT bill, which again has been passed, is going to up that percentage of what they will pay, unless something changes currently, but it's already been passed, so I hope nothing changes. But since it has been passed, and we're just waiting on the implementation stage, Chief Dietrich and I did sit with the lady helping us get it all implemented, is that since it's passed, it'll be retroactive. And she ran numbers based, I think, on 2023. That just based off your run numbers of that year, that's about $100,000 more a year. And that will be paid. So it is retroactive. It just there's no update on when. This is one of those, don't put in your budget because we just don't know when it's going to happen. But it is going to happen, just don't know when.
So that's kind of like the kid in the candy store. We're looking at it for paying ambulances or equipment.
So there'll be a large lump sum, and then the monthly billing will have some type of increase.
Oh, okay.
Don't know.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
I've just started going to the meetings, and one thing I did liked too was how you guys take things off the old ambulances and put them onto the new. I like that.
The one striker that we put on, 60,000 was just for install. That was, we had the gurney, correct?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
The
That
only,
was just to put, they have to put a steel plate, the manufacturer puts a steel plate in the floor, and then they have to come in with the gurneys and put the brackets and the mounts into that steel plate. And there's just no way, they already have a template, so they know where to put them.
And they got the insurance.
Exactly.
Exactly, because we were talking about doing it with the
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah.
It would even be more if we didn't have the maintenance agreement with Stryker, which we pay, I wanna say it was $4,000 to $5,000 a year just for maintenance, but these people are great. I mean, John has a problem with a battery, they either send a battery or a tech comes out and starts working on it ASAP. So that's probably I would say one of the more reputable companies that we deal with.
very common
And
in
then-
all hospitals and units.
Of course, cost-wise, chiefs are in charge of medical supplies to supply the ambulances, so I've seen a really upswing in a lot of the medical stuff. Fuel, I don't think we've even been close to a budget for fuel.
Yeah.
And that'll be with the new ambulances, we don't have to buy everything to outfit these anymore. So the load systems will go from the old ones into the new ones. The only things off the top of my head I can see paying out of pocket for might be decals and maybe a radio, but I think we've got our radios are working, so we've pretty much just taken one out of one, putting it in the other. So
We
there's
did.
not a whole lot of money to get these things on
We
the
did
road.
buy an extra radio, so if one did go on the fritz, we'd have it.
Okay, that's good.
The ambulances are different from the fire trucks and everything, cause they gotta have two heads, one in the cab and one in the back. Sorry.
One of the things, expenses we had too, was we had to buy some have some radios rechanneled or buy radios, because Kootenai Hospital went to a encrypted radio channel,
Okay.
because there was a newspaper or somebody getting
Yep.
all the information on the scanner and putting it out. Scanner went with names on it, and so it went encrypted. So we had to come up with it since.
In one instance, the family found out through the newspaper before they found out through the authorities. So the other thing that happened is Mr. Musk put out Starlink. I think we're paying $150 a month for Starlink, which runs through our ambulances for internet. So these new life packs that they've got, internet right to Coeur d'Alene or to Kellogg, whichever, or both. Yeah.
I'm not sure if SMC has the capabilities yet, but maybe now that we do, they might. Basically, we can put the 12-lead stickers on somebody, read their rhythm.
Oh, okay, and then they
And
can.
then we can actually, from their house, send it to the hospital so they can see it coming in.
Oh, okay.
And basically a way to just provide extra information
service.
quicker.
Yeah.
So both parties can be more informed and prepared.
All right. Well, I think what we'll need to do is we'll need to approve this board's got to approve those two ambulances. Since you have an opt out on it, I think we can do that. I'll have to talk to our legal and get that on the. I'll just need, you guys probably use Sourcewell. I know that too. And so we'll just get that in front of us and get that going. But
I believe Scott's got it.
okay, all right. I'll work with him.
And then the other thing I want to brag about, we went from basic EMTs when we all started
Yeah.
to advanced EMTs to now 5 paramedics. So we actually have paramedics on duty every day of the week maybe one, maybe two per station. We have one that should graduate and be ready to go online in August, did you say, John?
There'll be one probably by the end of this month, and then the potential of 3 more early to midsummer, depending on how they all finish up what they need to do.
So that'll give us 9 paramedics in Shoshone County.
And again, I think that's smart too, because that they'll, they could move, that's you never can know what's, yeah.
There's always somebody out there hanging on a little more money than
I know.
one of those guys.
Well, then we end up with, if the ambulance is out and there's a paramedic, they do have a chase vehicle out of Osborne, and then police got his.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 chase vehicles, which is separate of the ambulance. They can go to a different call and meet the ambulance crew that may not have a paramedic or a backup crew. So I think these guys it's worked out so great. In the last 2 years, we've come so far.
Yeah.
And this board everyone on the board has been affiliated with an entity at some point in time. So we're all very conscious of the budget. Very tight with the money. These guys scream and yell and beg constantly. I think that it's well discussed in our meetings, and it's nice to have a commissioner showing up for a change. Thank you, Elizabeth. She is more than welcome for input. We can't fix it if we don't know what's wrong, or we can't go by concerns. We don't know what's going on up here.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's good to have that liaison between us. And I would hope we continue, because this is probably one of the better boards I've ever served on. I mean, they're conscientious of everything that's going on, and I think we've proved it 2 years by having gone from a basic EMT to a paramedic, trying to keep these rigs on the road. At one time, we were down to a rental ambulance through Murray, and for about 2 days, that's all we had for the whole county. So I think it's working well, and I'm really happy with what's going on.
Okay.
Some of the other improvements on an operational level are that, as a reminder, there's only 2 staffed ambulances in the whole county that are 24/7. The example would be this morning, we had 1 ambulance in Cataldo and 1 in Mullen. What we've done now is incorporate what we call kind of a third out ambulance staffing model that allows when 1 ambulance goes on a far distance, or if there's a transfer from Shoshone Medical Center to Kootenai, for example, Health, that third out takes that to keep our 2 911 ambulances in here ready to respond for 911 calls here, and that they're not going to Kootenai, Spokane, Missoula, Lewiston on long distance transfers to really limit what we have here.
Okay.
And so that's been a big plus. I think the month of January, we had, I think it was 8 third out calls, meaning 3 separate emergencies happening within 30 minutes, or while the other 2 ambulances are on scene on a call and cannot just leave that call and go help to the next. We had 3 where there's 4 ambulances all out at the same time.
Okay.
But all those calls were responded to in a very good, timely manner, and it just goes back to the people that we have, the support from the board, and just some of the new things of getting creative of how we can find ways to meet some of these challenges. But without that, being creative or the support or the funds, you've got 2 ambulances, if one's going to Kootenai on a transfer and the other one's in Mullen, and a call happens right across the street. We're calling on people to come from their house to come to the fire station and go. These 2 fire districts are working closer together now to trying to make it to where it is just one. EMS was always like an automatic aid. It didn't really matter. Fire was somewhat different, but that's changed since. So they're working better together. But it goes back just to the people that we have, the support that we have, the creativity of how can we overcome some of these challenges where there isn't a call that goes unanswered or is extremely delayed. However, it'll always be a challenge until, you know, levies, revenues, and there's no way to fix it at this time without getting super creative and relying on these systems. But people have to sign up for these kind of things. It's not just a mandatory, hey, you're working third out whether you like it or not. And once your day off, I can't make you do necessarily that kind of extra stuff on your day off. So these folks are volunteering to be put into this system to really provide this extra help. For the past month, RSV, COVID, flu, all these respiratory illnesses have really hit a lot pretty hard in this area, to where we've gone to Kalispell, we've gone to Lewiston, we've gone to Missoula, those places within the last 20 days. Kalispell's in the middle of a snowstorm. They left at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, got back at 2 a.m. But that was one of our providers and somebody volunteered to come out so we could keep 2 ambulances here and not just rely on 1 ambulance for the whole county for 8 hours. So, doing a great job. It's a challenge every day.
Well, we appreciate it. The community does as well.
Chief, got anything for
Any
us?
public comment?
Just the call volumes, they up for last year or down?
Oh. I don't have that information on me.
They were down like 20 from last year total. And then this time last year, it was pretty close. I think it was
January.
like 51 versus 45, 46.
51 this year?
This year already. So.
Yeah, I want to say the call volume might be very close. I can at least say the past month, the percentage of refusals, again, which is your typical, oh, I fell and I can't get up, and we go help them up, they're not hurt. Those are always free. Our percentage of refusals for transport was down. So that's a good sign, considering wintertime where we get more crashes and less necessarily injuries. So I know that's...
The fire department's been helping out a lot that way too, by responding to the falling or the, you know, where, because the ambulances are out or something.
All right.
Biggest thing I see coming is we're going into spring, so we got to get prepared for, guess what, Cooney County and Spokane on the river. I got a little concerned, and we've kind of talked off record after the meeting last week about Pritchard Murray. They're stressed out. We don't know exactly how many people they got or what's going on up there. So if need be, I guess we're going to have to look at an option. So
I think for this week, Chief Kavanaugh contacted me. They will not have, I think they might have 2 full-time EMTs up there, but they don't have anybody up there this week. So District 2 or 1 will be responding to Pritchard for any EMS call for at least a week. But I think that's harp a little bit more about what Bruce is talking about. We're working with Colleen to try to find avenues for any kind of revenue based on, he mentioned up the river. We all know Shoshone County is a highly recreated area, but most of this recreation, whether it be ski resorts or up the river, aren't tax dollars, but they're exhausting our local resources, across the street, those folks, us to respond to those places for non-taxpayers. That is really hard to make sure we cover all these calls, but then also take care of our own people at home, which is an ongoing challenge when you live in an area like this that people want to come play at.
That's one of our biggest issues is for the county is that a lot of the residents are paying for everybody to come up here.
And then we're hearing more from Renee over on the river. She's the only person on the St. Joe. I guess it's District 4, is it?
Yes, sir.
So their fire department in Calder went to December's meeting and talked to the commissioners over there at our chiefs meeting, and they had no fire truck. They had the one fire truck they had, the guy leaned up against the truck and water started coming out of the tank. State took back their quick response units that they had, which was 1-ton trucks with tanks on them, took them back so they could surplus them out. So Mullen had just bought a truck from Kellogg, and we had an airport truck that came out of Miramar that was set up for structure. So we had Public Works take that truck down to Calder, so they got a fire truck.
Okay.
And then I believe Scott has got another one they're looking at, maybe getting Kellogg to then give them another one.
Okay, good.
But that's one part of the area that's growing too, guys.
Yep.
We gotta,
That's
you
right.
can't deny them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know what the answer is.
No. Well, and I think one of the things is that connection that we made between them and here is, you know, we've all got to be connected. You know, just like you guys with Pritchard and Mullen, and I mean, it's really important.
There's not a whole lot of good, what looks like to be good positive changes moving forward for fire districts based on the way the FEMA freezes and everything are going. I mentioned that EMS is deemed non-essential, so there's no federal money for EMS. There is federal money for fire departments through 2 major big grants. One of those is where we got $500,000 worth of our air packs. It came from FEMA grant, Assistance to Firefighter grants. There's another one that's called SAFER grant, and that's for staffing, where the federal government will help pay for additional staffing for a certain amount of years, and then the fire departments are on the hook. These grants are frozen currently. There's no idea if they're actually going to go through, even though they were submitted before January 10th or 20th or 16th, whatever it was. But it's looking, based on all the articles I read, that will no longer even be available. And these are large grants for fire trucks, personal protective equipment, stuff that costs it. To outfit one person with all the equipment they need is about $4,000 to $5,000 a person. So we rely real heavily on those kind of grants.
That's just basic.
That at this point don't look like they're going to be available from this year, or at least this year potentially looks like it might be the last year. We've seen levies ran across 75% of fire departments in North Idaho in the past 5 years. And this is all just due to, you mentioned 20% on the chassis going up, and everything's going up, and we're all capped at 3%.
Yeah,
And we pay for an audit to get that 3%, so it's really like 1.5%.
Yep.
So basically, a fire truck costs $500,000. That's a cheap one.
Yeah, that's a cheap one. And you're gonna wait a year, 3 years.
And with the fire rating bureau, they got such tight ratings on them. They even got ratings. You got to change the tires within 5 to 7 years if it's that old of a truck. So it's ongoing cost. The other thing I wanted to bring up, the fire departments, all 3 districts and the ambulance district did contract to F&H for a mechanic, which will be servicing. That is not his sole job, but we are first in line. If a fire truck ambulance happens to be needing worked on, serviced, that's his priority. Right now it seems senseless, but we got a shop out in Meadowmont that's not being used for District 2. Everything's going, that's major is going out there. Otherwise, he's trying to utilize the fire district buildings.
Okay.
So hopefully, we had Zach servicing the ambulances, and we saw cost plummet, breakdowns plummeted, and then unseen circumstances came about. We went back to a contract outside. He worked out good for a couple months, and then they got busy with a new shop. So the the board decided to go with a contract. Shell actually hired a guy just to do emergency vehicles, and then he needed them for other work at F&H. So it so far is working great.
It'll be about 30 to 40% cheaper
Cheaper.
operate hour per hour.
He's on an hourly contract.
Okay.
We buy parts, and he does the fixing.
Okay.
He's got certifications in emergency vehicles. He used to work through state idle lands and stuff, I believe. So we're kind of happy. Melissa got the meeting at the meeting last week. He's already 3 ambulances he's serviced.
Yeah, already 3, and I'll meet him probably about an hour and talk about
So
what's next.
he's done one of my big fire trucks in Mullen, which took him just about 4.5, 5 hours to do. So it's a plus. I mean, we're even, don't tell him now, but we're even looking if he's got time and we ever get to the shop to have the sheriff come in.
Okay.
So it's not an us thing, it's a unity thing.
Mhm.
Everybody's so, I know they have a nightmare with service work and bills. If we can keep it in the valley, we prefer it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Anything further?
Yeah, you guys get any Title III money for the river? Partly what it
Actually, we're paying Pritchard Murray $15,000
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how much.
a year.
said. Actually,
Murray,
Title
St.
III
Joe.
is set up for that, partly for that.
So we pay, I think, $15,000 to Pritchard Murray and 11 or 12 to St. Joe, something like that.
All right. All right.
So that'll be coming too. It is first of the year. We
Okay,
decided
good.
we're gonna pay them first of the year, so.
Okay.
How do we wanna do that? Just have Timmy and
Just have Kimmy do it, and then have her come to us, and
just put it in
Yep.
the ambulance building?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll go upstairs and talk to her.
then make sure, so she knows. Make sure she puts it.
As far as monthly meetings,
Mm-hmm.
I'm retired. I've got very independent. Would it be permissible for the board to meet with one or both of our fire chiefs?
Yes. Yep.
Are you willing?
Okay. That would be great.
And if you need one of the board members, me or something, just give me a call.
Sounds good.
That way we got bases covered both ways. Got a
Okay.
commissioner coming to us and we're
Yep.
coming to you.
Okay.
And
And
hopefully we can do it with, probably the Wednesday after the meeting would be the best.
And
Right.
Timmy's also going to be giving us the minutes every month.
I did
All
not
the-
realize you weren't getting them.
Yeah,
So that's
but it's,
another communication flaw there on,
Right.
that was on our part.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
otherwise we got board meeting the third Thursday at 5 o'clock. Everybody's welcome, encouraged.
Okay.
You got a gripe or a thank you or something, we'd like to hear both.
All right.
Fire departments are working their butts off, so.
All right. We appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. I'll go ahead and
Thank you.
adjourn the meeting.